The last time my daughter hugged me, she was 24 years old. I didn't know it would be the last time for nearly 18 years. If someone had told me that the next time she would knock on my door, it wouldn't be because she missed me, but because she needed one of my kidneys, I would have laughed through my tears and called them cruel. But life has a strange way of making impossible stories become real. My name is Eleanor. I'm 72 years old. The people in my neighborhood know me as the old woman who waters flowers every morning before sunrise. Children wave to me on their way to school. The mailman always asks if I need help carrying groceries. Everyone believes I have a peaceful life. No one notices how quiet my house becomes after sunset. Silence has been my closest companion for almost 2 decades. Sometimes silence can be louder than screaming. Every morning, I made 2 cups of coffee. One for me. One for memories. The second cup always became cold. I never stopped making it. It reminded me of the mornings when my daughter, Lily, would rush downstairs with messy hair, stealing toast before school. "Mom. Hurry. I'll miss the bus." She would laugh while stuffing pancakes into her backpack. I used to pretend to be angry. "Young lady, food belongs in your stomach, not your school bag." She'd kiss my cheek. "I love you." 3 simple words. Back then, I thought they would last forever. I was wrong. Lily was only 4 when her father died. A drunk driver ended my husband's life before sunset. One moment, I had a husband. The next, I had a funeral to plan and a little girl asking why Daddy wasn't waking up. I remember holding her tiny hands while trying not to fall apart myself. "Mom." "Yes, sweetheart? Does heaven have playgrounds?" I smiled through tears that tasted like broken glass. "I think it has the biggest playground in the world." She nodded. "Then Daddy won't be lonely." Children have a beautiful way of believing everything will be okay. Adults know better. After that day, life became work. Morning shifts. Night shifts. Weekend shifts. I cleaned hotel rooms until my hands cracked every winter. I washed dishes in restaurants where people never looked twice at me. I ironed clothes for families who paid me just enough to survive. There were nights I skipped dinner because Lily wanted strawberries. She never knew. And I never wanted her to. When she was 12, she came home crying. "Mom." I looked up from sewing a neighbor's curtains. "What happened?" The girls laughed at my shoes. I looked down. The soles were peeling. My heart shattered into pieces so small I couldn't even count them. That night, after she fell asleep, I walked 6 miles because I couldn't afford the bus. I worked until dawn cleaning office buildings. With that money, I bought her new shoes. Nothing expensive. Just clean. White. Beautiful. The next morning, I placed the box beside her bed. She opened it. Her eyes sparkled brighter than Christmas lights. "Mom. They're beautiful." She hugged me so tightly I forgot how exhausted I was. That hug carried me for months. Years passed. She studied hard. Graduated with honors. Earned a scholarship to college. The proudest day of my life wasn't when she received her diploma. It was when she looked into the crowd, found me standing alone, and shouted, "That's my mom." Thousands of people turned toward me. I wanted to disappear. Instead, I cried. Parents beside me clapped. One woman whispered, "You raised an amazing daughter." For a moment, every sacrifice felt worth it. But life doesn't always keep its promises. College changed Lily. At first, the phone calls became shorter. Then weekly. Then monthly. Eventually, birthdays became text messages. Christmas became excuses. "I'm busy, Mom. I have work. Maybe next month." Next month became next year. One day, I called her. She answered with a tired voice. Mom, can I call you later? Of course. She never did. I told myself she was building a future. Good mothers don't complain. They wait. So I waited. For birthdays. For holidays. For Mother's Day. Every year, I baked her favorite apple pie. Every year, I wrapped a small present. Every year. The pie went stale. The present stayed unopened. The house became older. So did I. Sometimes I stood at the living room window for hours. Every car that slowed down made my heart race. Maybe that's Lily. It never was. Neighbors asked. Does your daughter visit often? I smiled. She's very busy. Busy. Such a gentle word. It hides so much pain. Time doesn't simply pass when you're lonely. It settles into your bones. One winter afternoon, I slept while carrying firewood. The pain shot through my hip like lightning. I lay on the frozen ground for almost an hour before my neighbor, Mrs. Carter, found me. Oh my goodness, Eleanor. She called an ambulance. At the hospital, the nurse asked. Who should we contact? I stared at the ceiling. My daughter. What's her number? I recited it from memory. The nurse smiled. We'll let her know. I waited. Morning came. Afternoon passed. Night arrived. No one came. Finally, the nurse returned. I'm sorry. She didn't answer? The nurse lowered her eyes. She said she's out of state for work. I nodded. It's all right. But inside, something quietly broke. Not loudly. Not all at once. Just enough that I stopped expecting miracles. When I was discharged, I returned to my little house. I dusted the family photographs. In every picture, Lily was smiling. In every picture, she still looked like she loved me. Sometimes photographs are kinder than memories. The years continued to drift by like autumn leaves. Then one rainy Tuesday morning, as thunder rolled across the sky, my old telephone rang. It startled me. Almost no one called anymore. I answered softly. Hello? For several long seconds. No one spoke. Then I heard a voice I hadn't heard in 18 years. Mom. My knees nearly gave out. I grabbed the kitchen table to keep from falling. Lily? She was crying. Real crying. The kind that comes from somewhere deep inside the soul. Mom. I don't know how to ask you this. I closed my eyes. For one impossible moment. I believed she was finally coming home because she missed me. I had no idea that the next words would change everything I thought I knew about love, and about being a mother. When my daughter called after 18 years of silence, I thought my prayers had finally been answered. I was wrong. Sometimes, life opens a door only to show you how much it hurts to walk through it. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. All I could hear was her breathing. Uneven. Heavy. As though every word she wanted to say weighed more than she could carry. Finally, she whispered. Mom. I'm very sick. The room suddenly felt smaller. I gripped the edge of the kitchen table. What happened, sweetheart? The word slipped out before I could stop it. Sweetheart. After 18 years. She was still my sweetheart. My kidneys are failing. I closed my eyes. The rain outside struck the windows like tiny fingers begging to come inside. I'm so sorry, Lily. I've been on dialysis for almost a year. A whole year. An entire year of pain. And I hadn't known. Not because I didn't care. Because no one had told me. I've been getting weaker. She stopped speaking. Then came the sentence that cut deeper than any knife. The doctor said, you're the best match. Silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that leaves your heart searching for air. For the first time in 18 years. My daughter needed me. But not because she missed me. Not because she wanted to hold my hand. Not because she wanted to tell me she loved me. She needed a kidney. I looked at the second coffee cup still sitting on the table. Cold. Just like every morning before it. I smiled through tears she couldn't see. You found my number. I never deleted it. Her voice cracked. I just never had the courage to call. I wanted to ask why. Why 18 birthdays passed without a single visit? Why every Christmas ended with an empty chair? Why every Mother's Day I waited by the window until sunset? But I didn't. Some questions only create more pain. When do you need me? She started crying again. I knew you'd say that. No. She didn't know me anymore. Because if she truly knew me, she would have understood that a mother's heart doesn't stop loving simply because it has been forgotten. 3 days later, I walked into the hospital carrying an old handbag that had belonged to my late husband. Everything smelled like disinfectant and fresh paint. Young doctors hurried through the hallways. Families sat together in waiting rooms. Children laughed. Someone was celebrating a new baby. Someone else was saying goodbye forever. Hospitals are strange places. They hold miracles and heartbreak under the same roof. A nurse led me toward the transplant department. Your daughter is waiting. My heart pounded like it hadn't in years. Every step felt heavier. Then, I saw her. She looked so different. The bright-eyed girl from my memories had become a tired woman. Her cheeks were pale. Dark circles rested beneath her eyes. Machines surrounded her bed. She looked fragile. When our eyes met, neither of us moved. 18 years disappeared in one silent moment. Then she whispered, Mom. I didn't answer. I simply walked forward. She stood. Slowly. Carefully. Then she wrapped her arms around me. For a second, everything felt normal again. I closed my eyes. She still smelled like lavender. Just like she did when she was 16. The years between us melted away. Then, she began sobbing. I'm sorry. Again. I'm so sorry. She kept repeating those words until they no longer sounded like words. Only grief. Only regret. I held her the way I used to hold her after nightmares. It's all right. No, it's not. She pulled away. I left you. I smiled sadly. I noticed. She lowered her head. I wanted to call so many times. What stopped you? She hesitated. Then looked toward the window. Shame. One word. One heartbreaking word. My husband never liked you. I frowned. Husband? She nodded. We married 5 years after college. You never told me. I know. Her tears returned. He said your house embarrassed him. Every sentence landed like another stone on my heart. He said poor people hold successful people back. I stared at her. Unable to believe anyone could speak that way. He hated visiting. So, I stopped coming. The words echoed inside me. I stopped coming. Not because she hated me. Because someone convinced her I wasn't worth keeping. Still, she made the choice. I thought I'd visit after things settled down. She laughed bitterly. They never did. I reached for her hand. It felt cold. So much colder than I remembered. What about children? She looked away. We tried. And? The doctor said my kidneys failed before we could. Another dream stolen. Pain doesn't care who deserves it. It simply arrives. A tall man entered the room. Expensive suit. Perfect haircut. Gold watch. Without looking at me, he asked. Are you the donor? Donor. Not mother. Not Eleanor. Just donor. Lily looked embarrassed. Daniel. He extended his hand without smiling. I'm her husband. I shook it politely. His grip was quick. Cold. Businesslike. We appreciate your cooperation. Cooperation. As if I were signing papers. As if I weren't the woman who had carried Lily for 9 months. He glanced at his phone while speaking. The surgeon says timing is important. Not once. Not once. Did he ask how I was? Or thank me? I watched him kiss Lily's forehead. Then he left the room after answering another phone call. The silence he left behind said everything. Lily covered her face. I'm sorry. You've apologized enough. No. She shook her head. You don't understand. Then she whispered something that made my entire body freeze. He doesn't know. That I abandoned you. I stared at her. What do you mean? He thinks you left me. The room spun. I could hardly breathe. I told everyone. Her voice collapsed into sobs. That you chose your own life instead of raising me. For a moment. I forgot where I was. Forgot the hospital. Forgot the machines. Forgot the doctors walking outside. There are wounds that time cannot heal. And there are lies that cut deeper than truth. 18 years. My own daughter had built her life on a story where I was the villain. The woman who worked 3 jobs. The woman who skipped meals. The woman who walked miles to buy her little girl a pair of shoes. In her story, I had abandoned her. I slowly sat down because my legs refused to hold me. Lily fell to her knees in front of me. I was ashamed. She couldn't even look into my eyes. Every year it became harder to tell the truth. So I kept lying. I thought I'd fix it someday. She cried harder. But someday never came. I lifted her chin gently. There she was. My little girl. Hidden beneath years of fear. I never stopped loving you. She broke completely. I don't deserve you. Maybe she was right. Maybe she wasn't. Love isn't about deserving. If it were, no mother would survive raising children. Just then, the transplant coordinator entered carrying a folder. She smiled politely. We've completed the compatibility tests. Both of us looked up. The room became perfectly still. She opened the file. I'm afraid. She paused. There's something neither of you expected. The words I'm afraid hung in the air like a storm cloud that refused to move. My heart pounded so loudly I could barely hear anything else. The transplant coordinator looked from Lily to me before gently closing the folder. I'm sorry. But we need to discuss something important before we move forward. The room became painfully quiet. Lily squeezed my hand. Her fingers trembled. So, am I not a match? I asked. The coordinator shook her head. No. For a brief second, Lily's face went completely pale. Then the coordinator smiled softly. Actually, you're an excellent match. I let out the breath I didn't realize I had been holding. But. There was always a but. Mrs. Eleanor, the tests revealed a condition we didn't expect. She turned the folder toward me. There is a shadow on your remaining kidney function. It isn't causing symptoms yet, but it has declined more than we anticipated over the past few years. The surgeon entered quietly and continued. If we remove one kidney, there's a significant chance that you could eventually need dialysis yourself. The room stood still. Every machine seemed to stop humming. Every sound disappeared. Lily slowly turned toward me. No. Her lips quivered. No. The doctor spoke gently. We're not saying it's impossible. We're saying the risk is high. He placed the folder on the table. We need you to understand the consequences before making any decision. He left us alone. Neither of us spoke. Rain slid down the hospital window. I watched each drop race the others toward the ground. Life often feels like that. Some people arrive safely. Some fall too soon. Lily suddenly stood. We're done. I looked up. What? We're done. She wiped her tears. I'm taking my name off the transplant list. No. Mom. No. She shook her head violently. I can't let you die because of me. I smiled. My dear. I already gave you my youth. I gave you my strength. I gave you every dream I ever had. She cried harder. I'll never forgive myself. I reached into my handbag. The old leather creaked as I pulled out a small envelope. It had softened with age. The edges were worn. I've carried this for 18 years. She stared at it. What is it? I looked at Lily. What is all this? She took both of my hands. For 18 years. You waited for me. Now it's my turn. You'll never spend another birthday alone. You'll never drink coffee by yourself again. She laughed through happy tears. And she reached into her purse. She handed me a small white mug. On it were printed just 4 words. World's best mom. I couldn't stop crying. Not because of the mug. Because for the first time in 18 years, my daughter had finally called me mom with the love I had missed every single day. Months later, every Sunday became family day. The house that had once echoed with silence was now filled with laughter, burnt pancakes, grandchildren's toys, and arguments over whose turn it was to wash the dishes. Sometimes I would quietly sit on the porch, watching Lily chase her little boy across the yard. She often caught me smiling. What are you thinking about, Mom? I would simply answer. I'm thinking about how close I came to believing love had left this house. She would sit beside me, rest her head on my shoulder, and whisper. It never left. It was just lost. As the sun dipped below the trees and painted the sky in shades of gold, I realized something I wished every lonely parent could hear. Children can make terrible mistakes. Pride can steal years that can never be returned. Lies can build walls so high they seem impossible to climb. But as long as there is still one heartbeat, one phone call, one open door, hope has not died. Because a mother's love is not measured by the years her child stays close. It is measured by the fact that, no matter how many years pass, her heart still recognizes the sound of her child's voice. And sometimes, the greatest miracle isn't receiving a second chance. It's choosing not to waste it. A letter. I wrote it the day you stopped answering my calls. She looked confused. You never sent it. I knew you didn't want to hear from me. Her hand shook as she unfolded the yellowed paper. Her tears began before she finished the first paragraph. My dearest Lily. If you're reading this, then somehow life has brought us together again. I don't know why you stopped coming. Maybe I made mistakes. Maybe I embarrassed you. Maybe I wasn't enough. But please remember one thing. There has never been a single sunrise when I didn't thank God for making me your mother. If one day you need me, I won't ask why. I won't ask where you've been. I'll simply open the door. Because mothers don't stop being mothers when children stop coming home. They just wait. Forever if they have to. Love. Mom. By the time she reached the last word, she couldn't breathe through her sobs. She buried her face in my lap exactly as she had when she was a frightened little girl. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wasted 18 years. I gently stroked her hair. 18 years are gone. We don't have to lose tomorrow too. The following morning, Daniel arrived. He looked exhausted. His expensive suit was wrinkled. His confidence had disappeared. He stood quietly by the door. I need to say something. Neither of us answered. He took a deep breath. Lily told me everything. His eyes filled with regret. I believed a lie because it was convenient. I judged you without ever meeting you. He lowered his head. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted to thank you. I smiled politely. Take care of her. He nodded. I will. Then something happened that surprised all of us. He reached into his pocket and placed a small photograph on my bedside table. It was taken at Lily's college graduation. I was standing in the crowd, clapping with tears in my eyes. I found this hidden in Lily's desk. He looked at her. She never stopped carrying it. Lily covered her mouth. I looked at that picture every birthday. I wanted to call. I just became more ashamed every year. I picked up the photograph. The younger version of me smiled back. Hope looked beautiful on that woman. A week later, another miracle arrived. The hospital had found a deceased donor whose kidney was an excellent match for Lily. The transplant team moved quickly. The surgery was scheduled immediately. Before they wheeled her into the operating room, Lily reached for my hand. Mom? Yes? If I wake up. When you wake up, I corrected gently. She smiled through tears. When I wake up. Will you come home with me? My heart nearly burst. I thought this little house would always be my home. She shook her head. No. Home is wherever you are. The surgery lasted nearly 6 hours. They were the longest 6 hours of my life. I sat in the waiting room with my old handbag resting on my lap. Daniel sat beside me in silence. Every few minutes he looked toward the operating room doors. Neither of us touched the coffee growing cold beside us. Finally, the surgeon appeared. He removed his mask. Then he smiled. The surgery was successful. Daniel covered his face and cried openly. I simply closed my eyes. Thank you, I whispered. Weeks passed. Color slowly returned to Lily's face. Her laughter began to sound like it had when she was 12 years old. One afternoon she surprised me. She drove me back to my little house. I assumed she was helping me collect a few things. Instead, a moving truck stood outside. I frowned. Lily? She smiled nervously. I sold our old vacation cabin. Daniel stepped beside her. And I sold my sports car. I blinked in confusion. For what? They both looked toward my little home. Workers carefully carried boxes inside. A contractor approached with a clipboard. We're installing a wheelchair-friendly bathroom, replacing the roof, updating the plumbing, and remodeling the kitchen.